Power is everything. All right, welcome to the Lock and Load Show, broadcasting across the interwebs and simulcasting on gun channels. And once again, I forgot to turn off my external audio, so I'm hearing two of everything. And fixed it. All right. Jesse James is out there. Jesse James 38. Aloha. So power is everything is a quote from Apollo 13. And I was looking through. So, hey, Wes, if you're listening, get one of these for your farm. It's for sale in Waimea for $4 grand. I'll just go through it really quick. Yeah, I'm going to go through it. Let me just get onto the flipping page. I can't be everywhere at once. All right. So this is for $4,000 in Waimea. It's a military generator. Got 5 pictures. Here's the output. It says U.S. Department of Defense, NATO standard OTAN. Whatever OTAN means, I don't know. But 50 kilowatt, 60 hertz. And I'm looking at the bottom plate. It says that it can do 3-phase, 17 amps of 3-phase power. So if the grid goes down, you can have a 3-phase air conditioner running. I was in the pre-chat down in Oklahoma that would be awesome. I mean, people would pay real cans of beans or cans of meat in exchange to sit just for sitting by an air conditioner for a while. If the grid was down, if you lived in a hot area, that is. And 3-phase is obviously very efficient, more efficient than any single phase. So it's interesting that you can have one generator that can do either 3-phase or single phase. But for $4 grand, it looks like a pretty good deal, assuming it's working. Tactical something, looks like something scratched out on there. Generator set, something, diesel fuel, tactical outlet. No, that's a Q. Tactical quiet. It must be tactical quiet. Why would they put, what else word goes with tactical and starts with a QU? Has to be tactical quiet mode. Let's see, has somebody's email on there. Tier 2 has a plate with a serial number, how many volts, and 3-phase, and how many volts. In single phase, it's 5 kilowatts. Let's see. So 20, I didn't bring my reading glasses to read that small number. It's 20 something. Then it says 52 amps in single phase. Probably has different modes. When in doubt, read the manual as a last resort. Okay, so we wanted to talk a little bit about the at least I know Dusty did, about the NRA getting into some trouble or being attacked by Bloomberg. And basically, if you stick your head up in the combat zone, which is Washington, D.C., and you're going to get it, somebody's going to take a shot at it, which is what's happening to the NRA. And I'll say this about corruption and financial corruption. There isn't any place or any major organization where there's hundreds of million dollars up for grabs where there isn't corruption. Governments, corporations, charities, political action groups, whatever. Publicly traded corporations. Corruption is just part of the human condition. So the way I look at it, it's never too late to start fighting for freedom. So maybe we can get all these corruption-minded people to just wake up and smell freedom. I mean, and remember what they got into it for in the first place. Then some of the problems can be fixed. Of course, Bloomberg, but basically I'm for supporting the NRA because Bloomberg opposes it, and that's like enough for me. But not everybody feels that way. It's just that corruption is part of the human condition. You're never going to find like some Mother Mary version of, which brings us to the Easter Bunny video. In case you haven't seen it, I'll play this one, except there won't be any audio. Easter Bunny goes nuts here.
Oh my goodness, I cannot help but laugh every time I watch this. This is just so hilarious.
Well, I'm glad the cop didn't arrest the Easter Bunny.
I know it's for those of you guys that did not watch the video, you've got to watch the video, and the audio with it is just as funny, if not more funny.
The bystanders are laughing, you know, basically.
Yeah, because you're sitting there watching, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, the Easter Bunny's here to break it up." And next thing you know, Easter Bunny's throwing punches.
All right,
man, it's just so hilarious.
In case nobody's ever seen my old mixing board for my studio, there it is. It looks just like that one, except it's slightly different, but pretty damn close to that one. That was for my studio in Burbank. It's sitting in storage in Malibu. All right, I bought some soap over the last week. Saw the commercial for this on the Google video I was watching. I was like, man, because I'd seen Oily go into such detail about what she goes in through to make soap, and she did it because I was on one of her live streams where she talked about making soap, and it's like I didn't know it was all that involved. So I picked up some soap from this website, and I've tried one of them. I bought 3. I tried one of them so far, and it's pretty good. The cedar citrus. I also bought the pine tar and the eucalyptus yogurt. haven't tried those yet. I just tried the cedar citrus. And one of these overpriced pieces of wood, considering how small it actually is, to put the soap on, just to avoid soap scum. Go ahead.
If I might add something to the soap, for those of you that have eczema like me, the pine tar, which is that one right there, and the goat's milk is really good for eczema. Now, specifically, I bought a bar of soap from a company called Kai's Farm. I found them on Facebook, I was in a group actually and said that I have eczema, and they were like, here, I'll send you this bar of soap free, and then if it works, it works. If not, you're not out any money. Well, I showered with it the first night I got it. The next day, I was completely cleared up. So I stand beside goat's milk and pine tar 100%.
So which one? I think there was 2 goat's milk. Well, I better do the screen sharing.
I only remember seeing one of them. It was the deep sea goat's milk or something like that.
Deep sea goat's milk, and there's another one, I think. Is that the only goat's milk? The deep sea goat milk. So under the ocean somewhere, there's a goat that makes this.
Yeah. I guess it's something similar to a seahorse, a sea goat.
I've never heard of anything called a sea goat, but I'll Google it if you want. Or I don't Google it. I use a different.
You know what? Let's not Google it. There's no telling what we'd see.
Oh yeah.
There's no telling what we'd see.
Yeah, but I did get one of those wood things. It's overpriced for how small it is, but it does prevent you from like getting soap scum all over your, like in a little soap bowl, which I have. I mean, I have Irish Spring soap, but this stuff is way better. So anyway, that's my plug for nobody. They're not paying me for that, but I bought some anyway. Okay, Hilo, they're beefing up security. So if you're planning on having heart failure, make sure you're not carrying a gun because they'll seize it from you. I mean, this is ridiculous. I think I left a comment, but it just, I mean, you don't want to go to the hospital and wind up under arrest because you happen to have like a pocket knife or something, or you are in your house carrying legally in your house. I mean, they've never issued a carry permit ever, which is the NRA is actually has a lawsuit active. So I hope they can stay up long enough to at least see that one through. I think it's the Livingston case. I'm not sure. But it's the first time I've been a member of the NRA living in Hawaii. They actually filed a lawsuit. The NRA did on behalf of anything. So here's basically, you can see how silly people are on the internet. I left a response saying it was a misguided policy, and some idiot left a comment saying, you can't enter the ER without guns and knives. You don't deserve to be there. Well, dude, if you have like a heart failure or a medical emergency, you're like unconscious. You're not consciously carrying you're not really a danger to anybody if you happen to fall flat on your back with your gun in your holster. It doesn't make you evil, nor does it. It's like if you can't enter the ER with guns and knives, you don't deserve to be there.
Okay, then why don't you just do this? Let's make it real simple. If you're carrying around your house, why, I don't know. But if you're carrying around your house and the EMTs show up, they just take your holster off of you and leave your gun on the floor in the house and drag your dead ass to the hospital.
Yeah, I know, but it's like they don't. But this guy doesn't want anybody. Just leave the patient outside. Don't let them in. Don't let them die right at the hospital door. Don't leave them in.
Okay. So here's the thing. The EMT, when I got transported to the hospital in an ambulance, the one and only time, and that was an experience. The EMTs cut my clothes off me and threw everything in a bag, but they didn't go through my stuff. When they were lifting me off of the gurney onto the operating room table, there was already somebody going through my stuff into my wallet to get my health care insurance card out. Even though I was on a motorcycle, and by Michigan law, my health insurance doesn't pay the hospital, you moron. It's not like it's an unknown fact for a medical biller, but the medical biller pulled out my Blue Cross Blue Shield card and started writing up the bill, which was later denied because I was on a motor vehicle at the time of the accident. So if they're willing to go through my wallet while I'm on the operating room table,
if you're unconscious, then you're like they're in charge of your body. They're in charge of your person. If you're conscious,
but they knew I came in. They knew I came in from a motor vehicle accident. They knew the state law said my health insurance from work doesn't cover me when I'm on or in a vehicle. Period. That's just a law here. And instead of asking the officer, did you find proof of insurance on the vehicle? Because I keep it in a pouch on the tank of the bike, or asking them to run me through the state, because the state has partnerships with some insurance companies, and I have a big insurance company, so they report to the state whether or not I have insurance or not. If you get the fly-by-night, they don't report it to the state. They could very easily ask the officer to go to his cruiser, run my stuff, and go, yes, he has auto insurance, or no, he doesn't.
Do isn't ask for auto insurance or medical. The first thing they're supposed to do is save your life. They're not supposed to search you.
No. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. They won't confiscate my gun or my knife, but they're more worried about getting paid. I'm secondary.
Well, they won't get paid very much if I die. So.
Yeah, they'll get paid more if they keep me there alive under observation. Yeah. Than they will if they have to process a corpse. You're right about that.
It was funny because when I was in the emergency room and I didn't know whether I was having problems breathing and I didn't know if I was gonna live or die. So I asked him, am I gonna die? And the emergency room said, no, if we let you die with all these like 5 doctors and all this medical equipment around in the emergency room, then we're gonna have to spend like 2 weeks doing paperwork explaining how we let you die. So no, you're not gonna die.
Now, just imagine, though, if we had socialized healthcare like they do in Europe and other places, and they're like, we ain't getting paid anymore whether you live or you die, so what do you think's going to happen? And be like, oh, great.
But no, I was patted down once just going from being transported by ambulance from the Pacific Recovery Hospital in Pacific to Queens Hospital emergency room by just the security guard at Queens, which I will say this Queens Emergency Hospital, the room there, is a lot bigger than like a local hospital like on the Big Island. I mean, Honolulu is a big city, and that hospital has a very large number of beds in the emergency room.
Wait, Queens, that Queens hospital is in Honolulu. It's on another island.
Yeah.
So you got there. Wait, did they take you by chopper?
No.
I was hoping you'd say you got to the chopper.
I was air ambulance from on a turboprop. I got to the turboproper. Sorry, dude. But the cool thing
I really wanted to hear the helicopter ride story.
I was carrying my karambit in my pocket, and when I finally got to a shared room out of the emergency room ward, and they put me in a hospital room for a day before while they're waiting for the air ambulance to take me to the big hospital in Honolulu. My karambit was basically in a baggie in the drawer by the bed, and they had a piece of paper on it with it in the bag listing all my personal possessions, and the karambit was listed as contraband. I'm like, which is like, what the fuck does that mean? It's not illegal to own a pocket knife, right? But what was cool is that I mean, if you've ever tried, you can't take a knife onto a plane, but I did, because they air ambulanced me to the ambulance drove me to the airport to go to for an air ambulance turboprop to Honolulu, but I didn't go through like the lines that everybody else goes through. They took me right onto the tarmac, and I was feeling good enough I could get up and walk. Okay, so I just walked onto the plane, and the pilot looked at me like, "Doesn't look like there's anything wrong with you. Why am I taking you to Honolulu?" So I explained that the top cardiologist at the state in the state of Hawaii disagreed with him, and he wanted to see me based on, and I told him his name. So but I just walked right on, and I had my karambit in my pocket. There wasn't any security, but it's not like I was going to hijack the plane. They were, or anything. But I just walked onto the plane with my karambit because there wasn't any security. The hospital, the ambulance just, took me to the plane right on the tarmac, and I just walked on the plane. And they hooked me up to a gurney, and there was a paramedic there who could monitor my vitals, and on the little heart monitor thing, beep, beep, one of those machines. And they had an EKG and stuff. But, I mean, it was, the thing about arteriosclerosis is there's no symptoms. I mean, I felt completely cured, but I wasn't. I had 98% blockage in my arteries or something going into my heart, but I felt fine. I mean, I could have just walked away from the whole procedure if I wanted, but I went, I won't go through the whole flip in detail, but the point is I actually walked onto a plane with my karambit, and nobody stopped me or searched me or anything. Of course, I had to have like a heart issue, congestive heart failure, just to do that. So I would say it's not worth going through all that. But I can't say I walked right onto a plane at Kona Airport carrying my karambit. And most people, I don't think anybody is probably ever going to do that anytime soon. So, of course, I had no bad intentions. I just wanted to get to.
I'm wondering if the rules are different, though, for a private flight anyhow. If I chartered a plane at PTK, the international airport by my house, if I'm paying, $15,000, $20,000 for them to fly me somewhere.
Well, my insurance company was paying.
Okay, you're whatever. But I'm just saying, it's a private plane. I don't, like you said, you didn't go through security. I would think that'd be standard operating procedure. People that are paying a lot of money for a flight or being given a flight that costs a lot of money, an individual flight or a flight for a small group, I don't think they go through regular TSA or anything like that.
It's if you have your own plane, you don't have to go through TSA. I don't know. It depends if you want to hang out in the passenger area where all the other passengers are, then you do. It's the areas that are secured, not the whole airport. There's secure areas in the airport where so they're not going to just want anybody to walk through the passenger lounge area with all the passengers that have been screened through security, and they're not going to let people who haven't been screened through. They could be carrying anything, and if they have bad intentions, it'd be a pretty bad idea. So, but like I said, I didn't go through that area. It was just straight onto the tarmac. And onto the plane.
I have to say this for just 1 second. I've been in hospitals in Oklahoma City, and I've been in hospitals near where I live. Never once have I seen a metal detector or security wonder about what you have on you and search you before you go into the hospital.
I was searched going into the ER, patted down.
The only time I've ever had, the only time I've ever had a metal detector anywhere near me in a hospital was a couple of years ago when I had to have a MRI. I used to weld, and so it's standard procedure.
Well,
they give you
they do an
X-ray,
MRI.
and
They give you everything inside of you, including metal.
because they mainly did a head X-ray to see if there was any possibility of any metal getting somewhere in my eye. Because one time I did get a piece of metal in my eye, and they wanted to make sure it wasn't in there, because if it was in my eye or anywhere in my head, then that MRI would have pulled that magnet in the MRI machine would have pulled it out and could have done a lot of damage to me. So, and I did get wanded before I went into the MRI just to make sure I didn't have anything metal on me, because that is very, very dangerous.
So what you're saying is you were a metalhead?
Yeah, pretty much. But that was the only time I've ever had any type of metal detector on me or near me going into any hospital between where I live in Oklahoma City, and I've never been I've even been into hospitals in Austin, in Temple, Texas, and Dallas, and a few other places, and not once have I ever been searched or ran through a magnet.
Yoder, I'm not dead yet.
Now, I don't go to hospitals on a regular basis, but the nearest hospital to me is in Pontiac, Michigan. There's 3 hospitals in Pontiac, Michigan, and they're all fairly decent. But the nearest one to me, I've been in there a couple times, and the last time I was in there was last year. We went into the emergency room. There's only one entrance for people coming in, visitors, and then there's an entrance on the other side for ambulance. I suppose you could sneak in through the ambulance entrance, but they have a metal detector. They have an armed security guard. They have a security station. That's the only time I've seen something like that in a hospital up here in all the years I've been going to hospitals up here. Now, I don't know if it's because it's in Pontiac, which is somewhat known for crime, although you could walk right down any street in Pontiac and you'll be fine. Now, somebody from the country might be a little scared, but it ain't nothing. But it might be because of that. I mean, if you said, is there crime more likely in your township or in the city of Pontiac next door, I'm going to say Pontiac. But still, it's not like, I don't know. Just like Detroit. It's just, people are scared of Detroit. Dude, if you live up here, you're not scared of Detroit. But there's also, you don't go, there are places that, you're not going to go down there and try to draw attention to yourself either. So I'm not sure if they have an emergency or if they have metal detectors in that area of the hospital, because they're expecting somebody to come in with a GSW and, they're trying to stop somebody from coming in there and finishing the job or, whatever. So I would have to visit other hospitals around the area and go in through a standard entrance, not the emergency room entrance, to be able to say whether or not that's just becoming a thing around here or not. But I mean, I noticed it last year. I talked to the security guy. He explained to me the procedures. They made sense. It didn't insult me at all. I was really, I told him about the security at the airport, and I said, look, compared to TSA, you guys are doing great. And he said, why? What's wrong with TSA? And when I told him, he was like, oh, okay, But I think if you're coming to visit somebody in the hospital, and they're not sure if you mean to do them harm, because in this day and age, people just do weird stuff. As long as they're not too invasive, a metal detector is not really too much to ask. Like, they didn't say, empty your pockets, put them in this, take it on a conveyor. We got to X-ray your purse. We got to X-ray your shoes.
So it's not like when Mad Max walked into Bartertown and they said drop all your weapons.
No, it's not like that. Like when you go to Detroit Metro Airport, you get sniffed by a dog before you even get to the X-ray machine to make sure you don't have explosives on you. Like, are you for real? But the dog's cute, so it's like you get to pet the dog.
Which brings us to Mac Tightwad's video, who does the bushcraft camping. Dog Baldrick is crazy. But anyway, I was going to say that actually, when I was in the hospital, I actually met fans of my YouTube channel. So when I was in the emergency room, and it was like, oh, I actually have met. When he heard my voice talking to a nurse, he's like, I know that voice from somewhere, and so that was pretty funny, I thought. That wasn't when I was in for anything serious. That was when I sprained my ankle because I slipped on going down the stairs. I had my weights stacked up, and they kind of weren't very stable, and I put my foot wrong. So I stepped down like 8 steps and caught myself with my foot. I took a 8-step leap and landed on one foot, so I sprained my foot pretty bad. I went there to have an X-ray to make sure it wasn't broken. But compared to that was basically compared to my other trips to the ER, that was basically an easy one, just having a sprained foot. But I walked into there. When I walked in there, speaking of where metal detectors, I walked in there with I basically have a dowel that I was using as a crutch, so I could walk from my car to my car and from the car into the emergency room. And I walked into the wrong room, and I asked somebody at a desk if they could just wheel me over to the emergency room in a wheelchair, and they were nice. But I was carrying, it's basically a big dowel. It would have made a great bow stick. So as soon as I saw somebody from security, I said, "Can you hold on to this for me?" It's using it as a crutch, but it's not. They gave me a real pair of crutches. The security guy just put it in the closet. Said, "Yeah, let me know when you're leaving." And but I mean, I basically walked in there with basically a bow stick, which is a pretty nasty weapon. But it was just a dowel, wooden dowel, and it's one of those things where you have to know how to use it for it to be a weapon, and most people don't even recognize it as a weapon, but it is. Which is something else I wanted to talk about. The reason I don't just do guns, I do like practice with bow sticks or knives, is because the way I look at things, if you want to defeat someone, you can use a gun. If you want to expand your knowledge of yourself and how to fight, then it helps to know different methods of doing it and learn different methods. And as you're doing that, you learn more about yourself. And that's the way I look at it. Maybe somebody disagrees with that. I don't know. But that's me. So, yeah, I never leave. I never go out my front door without at least 2 knives, my Spyderco Paramilitary 2, and my Fox Karambit with the Emerson Wave on it.
Is it like American Express? Don't leave home without it?
Well,
bad joke?
Yeah, bad joke. Never mind. Besides, you're dating yourself.
Dad joke?
A bad dad joke.
So I have a question real quick for both of y'all. In Oklahoma, we just allowed, I guess you would call them switchblade knives. Basically, they're push button spring assisted knives. The blade shoots out of the handle, straight out. For example, we have this. I believe it's a Smith and Wesson, the Infidel. That's a $400 knife, and I'd love to have. But
is that an out the front knife?
What was that?
Is that an out the front knife?
Yeah, it shoots out the end. And they're amazing. I'd love to have one, but $400 for a knife, I don't know. Anyways, you guys being from different, you of course Hawaii, you being from Hawaii, and then Squid being from Michigan, are those legal in y'all states?
Automatic knives are not legal in Hawaii. Squib?
Okay. And what about you, Squib? Are they legal in Michigan?
I thought they were trying to legalize them here, but I can't remember if they got it passed or not. See, I'm not a knife guy, so it's really not on my radar. I heard about it, but I can't remember.
Well, if I ever meet you, Squib, in person, I'll give you some knife fighting lessons of a friendly kind. But
dude, I know how to fight with a knife. Just look, okay, it's like Quigley. I didn't say I didn't know how to use it.
That was a good line, a great dialogue.
I never had much of a need for one. That's all.
I use my knives pretty much daily.
See, yeah, okay, like my Leatherman, I think has a 3.5 inch regular knife, and the other one's serrated. But I look at it like a tool. Pocket knives, I don't really consider a weapon. It's a tool. If I want a knife that's a weapon, it's going to be a fighting knife or a bayonet. You know what I mean?
The human mind is the weapon, not anything else. That's the way I look at it. And
well, I was doing a voiceover for Speaking Squibbish today on one of my breaks, and I just let it flow, right? And I was talking about that, and as I was saying that, the person behind the tool is a weapon, I started thinking about it, and I'm like, I think I'm going to change my definition, because I've said that before. The knife is a tool. I am the weapon. But I think I'm going to change my definition and go, no, the knife's a weapon. I'm just a person. And you say, it's kind of like when they had the quiz about forklifts. What's the most important part of the forklift? The operator, not the brakes, not the, it's the operator, because the operator makes all the decisions. So with the weapon is a tool. This is in my little voiceover that I've got to rewrite it, but a weapon is a tool that is designed primarily for killing or the threat of killing. Okay, you could have other tools that are designed for fixing things or transporting things or lifting things or whatever it is that can kill, but that wasn't what they were intended to. A weapon was made for killing or presenting the threat of killing. You could do other things with them, like a car is not meant for killing, but it can kill.
Let's take the example of a fighter jet. It's the people it's the trained pilots that are the weapons. I mean, they're not the jet. Because you could take that jet, you could take the jet and give it to some pilots that haven't been through Top Gun, and put the guys from Top Gun in older jets, and the guys from Top Gun would win.
Well, okay. First off, Top Gun, the movie, that was fiction. It's not something where they just grab the top 2 guys from the squadron and put them up. It's just a regular rotation. You send the whole squadron to Top Gun. It's not like the way they did it in the movie isn't the way they do it in real life. There are some terminology they use in there, but still, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, the guys who went to Top Gun, the whole damn squadron went to Top Gun, and when they left, the next squadron came in. It wasn't not the top 1% of naval aviators that's BS. But yeah, I get what you're saying. And that's what I'm saying. I used to think that the person behind the weapon, the tool, was the weapon. Maybe I just need to give this more thought, because if you weaponize a tool that was never intended to be a weapon, but it can be used as a weapon, does that make the device a weapon now, or does it make the person operating the device a weapon? I don't know.
Well, it's like if when the guy in charge of the aircraft carrier sends who he wants to be, for the two guys he's sending out to do the intercept, and then who he wants to be on Ready 5, he's not picking what plane to send out. He's picking the person based on what he knows about that person and his abilities, right?
No. Once again, that's movie fiction. The reality is, you just sent the plane. It's not about the pilot. Honestly, that's another movie fake. It's like who happens to be? Okay, we've got this plane in the air, ready to go, because it's their turn to be in the air, ready to go. We got this plane on the Cat because it's their turn to be on the Cat. Who happens to be in there? It's whoever got picked. They're in the rotation, whatever it is. So if you're on CAP, carrier, whatever, air patrol, whatever it's called, combat air patrol, yeah, and you happen to be in that sector, and that's the one where they're saying we got incoming planes. They're not there because your plane is there. You're there. It's not like, well, we put the best two guys on the west side because they could be coming from the west. It's just like whoever just happens to be the unlucky SOB who's there.
Can we get back to Oklahoma's point about knives?
No.
Okay, go ahead, rant on. That won't stop you.
Now that was just a curiosity question for me. Was just wondering if those knives were legal in y'all states. And like I said, like we talked about before in pre-chat, about the whole somebody breaks into your house thing. Mentioning Hawaii is a deep blue state. That should have been my answer, but I didn't think about it until after you mentioned, stuff like, after you mentioned that.
When you said automatic knives, I have an opinion on automatic knives, which I said in the Benchmade show when I was ranting about Benchmade. So Squib isn't the only one that rants on this show. I rant sometimes, but I just don't trust. I'm not going to trust my life to a mechanism like that, because when you stick it into somebody, if it hits a bone, there's a good chance the mechanism could fail. And then either the blade could go out in some weird direction, just like at you, or at your eye or something, or on top of which you'll be sitting there holding a handle with no blade attached, looking really stupid while your opponent figures out a way to kill you as quickly as possible. So what I like about my Fox Karambit is it's faster. It's like faster than an automatic, if that's possible, except it has no mechanism like that. It just has a hook on the spine, and you just hook it as you draw it out of your pocket. The hook from the spine catches on your clothes and it deploys automatically, but there's no mechanism to make it illegal. It's just a little hook on the spine. It looks like a wave, so they call it the Emerson wave. So in effect, it is as fast as possible, and that's the one thing knives have over gun is speed. Obviously, yeah, like I said, I don't just want to know how to fight with just one kind of weapon. I think if you learn how to fight with your fists, if you learn how to fight with knives, if you learn how to, and Squib said something about flow. I'm not sure the context, but I do Cali flow drills with my Bahi sticks all the time. And flow drills are not fighting. That's not how you fight with a stick. But you do have to know how to flow to fight.
When I was talking about flow, I was talking about the waitress from Alice.
That's Flo is the name of that girl at Walmart with gigantic gazongas.
No. Flo is my sister, and she's a straight up asshole.
Wait, how can you say that? Didn't she just give you like a mower or a tractor or something?
The other sister, they're twins.
Oh, you poor man.
How do you tell them apart?
God, yeah. One of them's not as much of a bitch as the other.
Family.
Hey, just to be a dick, have you given him like double mint gum as a gift?
No, but now that you mention it, that's not a bad idea.
Just buy them some of that soap. They'll get the
Dr.
message.
Squatch's soap.
Like, you stink. Give them some soap.
Right. Heck no, I'm not going to spend $3 a bar on them. I'm going to
It's
go
like,
to the dollar store and find the cheapest thing I could find.
well, you got to smell them, not me, so it's up to you.
No, actually, they are. I can't spend the amount of money they spend on their crap. I mean, they buy $30 body washes or something like that. They were talking about.
My advice is not to take any showers before family events and ask them for like a gift certificate to that Dr. Squatch soap company or something.
Right.
They'll buy you your soap.
Well, I mean, I have some, and I love it. And I'll spend the money on that. But what I'm saying though is like I was just making a smart ass comment, but no, in reality, dude, they spend like one of them, her shampoo bottle alone, and it's like I don't know, like a 28-ounce bottle. I don't know, just a regular bottle of shampoo is $30 damn. I'm like, why would you spend money on that? Because it has all this stuff in it. What the crap? Makes no sense to me.
Stupid thing. I was trying to type something and some other window came up. I was going to try to type. I can put the link if anybody wants it on the Gun Channel side, gunchannels.com/HVS, to the panel if anybody wants to jump in, say hello. It's out in the external. Yoder, Jesse, Rupan. Let me do that real quick. I don't know if anybody's going to make it over there, but I can do a copy and paste pretty quick. Copy, select all, copy. Right, I have to have so many browsers open. I have to open up so many browsers. There were some pretty hot college girls by the pool the other day, I must say. Not today, but yesterday. So Emma, if you're listening to this, that's you. But the girl today at the pool was just basically she was a fat blonde eating flaming Doritos in the pool, and you're not supposed to eat in the pool because we don't want to swim in your Dorito crumbs. Panel link. And there it is. So at gunchannels.com/HVS, that's where the panel link, if you want to go to that trouble and say hello. Panel chat.
Really quick, I wanted to just is completely off topic, but for those of you out there that may be looking in the market to buy a new riding lawnmower because it's getting time to mow your yards, do not buy a damn Cub Cadet. For God's sakes, don't buy a Cub Cadet. My sister just bought a brand new $1,700 Cub Cadet riding tractor, little tractor mower, and less than a month, we're already having to buy parts for it, and it pissed me off because Cub Cadet is like, well, used to be one of the, and still is one of the top of the line names out there, right up there with John Deere. But I mean, golly, and they used to be really good, but now they're just absolute junk. So stick to your roots. Go buy a Crapman.
Yeah, and in my experience, on your topic about switchblades are a movie prop, not a viable self-defense tool.
The switchblades that we think of, yes, I agree. I did have one spring-assisted pocket knife, but the blade actually came out of the handle, slung out of the handle like a regular pocket knife would. and that thing was handy. You know, I wish I had that again, and I wish I had more of them. But because if I'm out, getting something done, and I'm holding something with one hand and need to pull it out with the other, and need to sling it open, I do this all the time, especially working in barbed wire fence. You cut your fingers up, and especially on the tips of your fingers, for some reason it's always the tips of my fingers, and I can't sling that little push that little nut with my thumb. Having that little push button on the side makes things a lot easier, and then uh, going out there and cutting what I need to cut, especially doing yard work with my weed trimmer or my string trimmer. I have to cut the grass, if it's tall grass, and it wraps around the shaft of the trimmer. Then I have to pick it up, turn it upside down and cut all that grass away. Something like that is really handy. But those that you just slide the little thumb press thing forward, and that knife shoots out of the end. To me, it's really a waste of money, because there's not really a need for that. The only other thing I can really honestly think of having one of those for would be for law enforcement or military.
They don't work. I
And
just wouldn't bet my life on something like that. It's a mechanism that can fail.
right, but see, I wouldn't even. And you're right. I wouldn't even trust something like that. In fact, um, on my duty belt when I was working in law enforcement, I had um, a K-bar TDI tactical knife that I used, and if I needed it, I'd reach over and grab it out of the holster, and then run that blade across somebody if I needed to. Uh, so it's not like something that I would rather reach in my pocket and pull out a switchblade, push the button, hope the blade would come out, and then stab somebody with it. When
Well,
I could just reach over
it's
for a cross draw.
It's a movie prop, okay? It really is. It goes, and if everything, if the camera angles are right and the lighting is good, and your sound guy gets that cool sound, then maybe it will scare somebody in a movie theater. But yeah, when I mean, it's like when you pick when you pick a tool, like if I'd be willing to bet my life on a Glock working. I'd be willing to bet my life on an AK working. But I'm not betting my life on a Switchblade. No way. Now, I will say that $300 or $400 isn't too much money to spend on a knife if it's a really good one. I spent like $300 or $400. I think closer to about $325 for my Dawson bushcraft knife, my camp knife. The one that I haven't done a video on it, but I have shown it on some of my shows. And I'm going to get a camera in the next week or two, because ever since the Windows update, it doesn't recognize my laptop camera. Windows doesn't. So got to give me some time to find a camera off of Amazon, and that Windows will actually has work with Windows ever since they did their update that only lets Windows approved accessories be recognized by Windows. So anyway, I did buy some new boots the other day from off of Sportsman's Guide. They had a sale on the U.S. military duty boots, the Bates Recondo boots. I got the multicam Recondo boots. They were on sale for like $70. Now marked down from like 140 or something. So it's like I thought I'd bite on that one. Got a couple of other small things. I'm pretty much in the don't spend money on anything, but shoes are hard to like. A good pair of shoes that's hard to like. Your feet are your main mode of transportation if the shit hits the fan, most likely, and you're gonna need good shoes. But it's like when I watch all those videos for survival videos, it's like when the people don't have shoes, it's a real bitch trying to get around in the jungle or the Gobi Desert or walking through black palm trees, vegetation, and stuff like that, where they have like 3-inch spikes that grow out of the tree, and you have to try not to step on a fallen branch or you'll be impaled by one of them. And it's like, man, shoes, a good set of shoes if you're going to be hiking through the jungle. I mean, don't have to worry about snakes in Hawaii like some of those videos. I think I talked last week about First Man Out on the Discovery Channel, which was on pay-per-view, or not pay-per-view, on demand, Discovery on demand. It's free. It's just it was on demand and not on the show. I watched Savage Kingdom last night, and I'm kind of getting tired of them. I mean, it's good footage, but they keep anthropomorphizing all these animals. They're not people, but they write this script where it's like this hyena is plotting or this lion they're all acting on instinct, but they keep anthropomorphizing them to make it interesting to the viewers and something that they can relate to. But no, the animals are just being animals. They don't have a sense of good or evil or a sense of fair play or anything. It's all instinct. It's what they use the tools that God gave them and to survive in the way they can but they keep anthropomorphizing because it makes a good script. The one I've gotten to hate the most is that Hostile Planet, where it's just all about global warming. I don't watch that anymore. So after the first one, it was all it took. It's like, well,
global warming's a myth.
Well, climate change. The climate has been changing since the beginning of time, but it's the impact of what mankind. Mankind isn't. It's just what the global warming scientists calculations aren't showing is the exact percentage of humanity's impact on changing the temperature of the planet, which compared to the sun and just plain old nature, I mean, is relatively infinitesimal. And anyway, they have in no sense ever calculated it into their equations. So I just don't see the point in starting to. It's like in Germany, they want everybody to drive electric cars, but the electricity in Germany is mostly generated by coal-fired plants. So it's like having your car is run by coal.
Yeah, it's like it's what is it called? It's a catch-22. You want everybody's cars being run by electricity, yet your electricity is powered by something that's most toxic to the ecosystem.
Anyway.
Exactly, and that's what's killing it. That's what's killing our ecosystem is the carbon monoxide.
I don't know what's killing our ecosystem. I know the climate changes. The climate has been changing since the beginning of time, and it won't stop changing. I mean, we're on a tiny little speck of iron rotating around this huge thing called the sun, which is billions of times more mass than any of the planets, and it's just silly to think that just mankind is going to have as much of an impact as the sun or just nature, so therefore we have to tax businesses or create a carbon exchange, or have the United States taxpayers pay for a fund that we can only put money into, and any other country on the planet can just withdraw fund. It's like, no thanks. I mean, anyway, so we were going to talk about let's see, NRA GOA IRA, not the Irish Republican Army. That's what I don't know if anybody watched the Attorney Barr's presentation, that the Internet Research Agency, which is like Russia's internet. What what's the right word? I'm trying to think of what the internet troll propaganda
Hackers.
machine. I don't
I
think
was
they're
gonna say
hackers.
but
More like
yeah,
internet
it's
propaganda and troll army.
there you go.
So,
IPTA.
well, it's called the IRA, and everybody, when he started talking about the IRA, it's like, what did the Irish Republican Army have to do with hacking the U.S. elections? No, it's not the Irish Republican Army. It's the Internet Research Agency he was talking about. But I don't know how I feel like me, but I'm really sick of just hearing about people talk about this whole fucking thing. But Democrats apparently think that people actually want to listen to what they have to say. So they're going to keep subpoenaing stuff and papers and witnesses and things that they're not allowed to have and by law. And they're going to say, why don't you give us everything, all the information that you get? It's like, because it would be illegal. And I'm the chief law enforcement officer. It's like, why don't you just shoot President Trump? Because it would be illegal. And I'm the chief law enforcement officer. I mean, it's the same reason he can't give them unredacted documents from that have grand jury testimony. It's against the law. And apparently, the only people that can get away with breaking the law or your last name has to be Clinton.
or Obama.
So
then you can sell you can sell uranium to the opposite forces.
To the Russians, yeah.
Yeah. But real quick, I'm gonna get off here.
Okay.
But you guys have a good night. Stay safe. Keep prepping. Have fun, and all kinds of other good stuff.
When's your next video coming out?
It will probably be Wednesday night or Thursday. I have a follow-up appointment. It's just going to be a follow-up video on my health issues. But if it doesn't rain here for the next 2 days like they say it's going to, then I'll probably put an update a video on my garden that I had to fight all the wild animals out of, and yeah.
Okay, well, you need to do a video explaining what all that farm jargon you were saying in that, because I didn't know half of what the terms you were talking about meant. But I'm a city slicker.
I don't even remember what I said that probably you probably wouldn't understood. But
yeah, I don't think you said anything that I didn't hear any farm terminology.
You didn't hear any farm terminology. That sounded like
I'll go through
to me.
The tractor video. Yeah, I mean it's more or less a glorified lawnmower.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it was the language that I didn't understand. It was the technical jargon about tractor stuff that it just went right over my head.
Probably the box blade. He probably didn't know what a box blade was.
It's a plow.
It's not really a plow. It's like kind of a reverse bulldozer.
Yeah, but I mean, for intents and purposes of what you were trying to do as far as breaking up the ground to plant.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I'm trying to simplify it for him, but yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much. If you can imagine, a bulldozer has that big blade in front. Instead of having that big blade on front, we're pulling a smaller version of that blade, and that's pretty much what the box blade is. And then it's got these 4 little tines that, well, they're not little; they're heavy as shit. But I just dropped them down so that they'd rip the ground up a lot easier. And pretty much what I did, instead of plowing up the ground like I wanted, I ended up ripping up the ground, which made it harder for me to. A little easier than not plowing at all, but it's just with a disc plow or a harrow, it's a little bit bigger chunks of dirt than if you was to plow it with a disc.
You might like watching the Wesley's World YouTube channel. That's like the gun shop owner here at Kona Guns, because he uses he's got this like the smallest Komatsu that they make, and he actually broke his the connector to his ripper, and he was. But he has some videos setting up a Japanese tea farm on his property, and using his machines all the time. So check out Wesley's World if you're interested in tractors and Komatsu and farming, and because he seems to know what he's doing, and I can understand. I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch that video of yours again and write down the words I didn't understand or something. And,
okay.
and send you an email saying, "What does this word mean?"
Yeah, write that down and I'll translate it for you. I'll translate it from redneck.
All right, we're translating into City Slicker. Okay, Oklahoma, you take care of yourself.
Yeah, you guys have a good night. Stay safe and keep prepping.
Yes, sir.
All right, later.
Later.
Quick look at the externals. If I can get there. It's a box scraper organ in box. Okay, whatever that means. Last little thing here in case there's any cryptomaniacs out there. Let's see. I just wanted to share this new screenshot of this Well-in-One website for a minute for a new wallet that's coming out. Screen share button. I can find my way back to Google Chrome. I have to have, like, in order to do these, I have to have 3 browsers up. I need Internet Explorer for gun channels. I use Firefox for the playback of the so I can see the external comments, and Google Chrome to actually work the Hangout. So let me actually get to this one window here. So and I think in less than 30 days, version 3 of this particular wallet's coming out, and it looks pretty. I saw them talk about this on Dash Force News YouTube channel, and it was pretty interesting. So you may want to check out Vega Wallet in about 30 days when version 3 comes out. There's an app for your phone. There's a laptop or desktop, and it all works with. There's going to be like a swipeable credit card that it all works with, and you can actually buy cryptocurrencies with it, and which, considering that you can't even do that in my state, I don't know how they're going to do that, but they seem to think they figured it all out because there's some pretty ridiculous exchange laws that the state of Hawaii ran out all the crypto exchanges. They just left when they passed this one law. So I get my cryptos from Genesis Mining. They send me cryptos every day. They send me some Dash every day for my mining contracts. Anyway, that's all there is on that. BAT token did very well. I think on Saturday it was like up 20-something%. Basic attention coin. It's an alternate to Google, basically. So instead of having Google pay the content creators, they're going to use this attention token. That's the idea behind it. So we'll see if it works or not in the long run. But anyway, you might want to check out this wallet when version 3 is released. It's not released yet. So anyway, here to cryptos, check that one out. I use Exodus myself right now. Let's see if anything else I need to talk about. So, Squib, what do you think is the best Second Amendment rights organization that you think people should join?
The NRA.
Like it more than GOA, Squib?
Turn up the volume. I can't hear you.
Okay, I asked if you like the NRA more than the GOA.
NRA's been around longer. They make more noise. They're more well-known. They're more popular. When they go in to talk to senators, representatives, they get more done when they want to. When they don't want to, they don't. The GOA can say, we're fighting for you. We want to work ourselves out of business. But people seem to think the GOA win every case that they go up against, and they don't. Because when they walk in, they go, "Where's the GOA?" And people go, "Yeah, who's that?" But when you say, "We're the NRA," they go, "Oh, it's the NRA." Now, if we could get the NRA to do more of what we want, but I will say this, there are times where the NRA does things that we don't want because they're appealing to the people that pay more money to the NRA than we do. They're also playing politics. They're playing the long game. They're doing things. A lot of people on our side that can barely afford $25 a year for a membership want a big win tomorrow. And that's not the way you're gonna be able to handle gun control and do anything with it to make it manageable. You're never gonna make gun control go away. You're only gonna be able to contain it, corral it, try to work it this way or that way. Sometimes you're gonna win, sometimes you're gonna lose. Some people have complained the NRA doesn't do anything in my state. Some people say the NRA didn't do what I wanted with this national law. The NRA supports this NRA. The NRA is a political entity. They're not your buddy. It's just like when you have a politician who makes a bunch of campaign promises and you go, "That's my guy." And out of the 10 things he promised, he only does 2 of them. And you're like, "Oh, hey, man, be lucky he did 2." And that's sort of what it is with the NRA. But when the NRA walks in there, they go, "Oh, crap, here comes the NRA." When the FPC and the GOA and the 2AF or any state organization go walking in there, they go, "Who the hell are you?" That doesn't mean that they're bad organizations. I think we need to bring those organizations up to the same. I think everybody should try to get a membership in as many as possible. If you're a member of the NRA and you don't want to let your membership lapse because you want to keep your ability to vote, because you want to effect change in the NRA, I think that's great. But get a membership in the GOA, get a membership in the FPC, get a membership in the 2AF, get a membership in one of your state organizations. If your state only has 1, hey, you're doing good. If you're in a state with 4, join what you can afford. Join what you can afford. And when somebody goes, "Oh, I just can't afford it." Okay, now some of these state organizations do have some ridiculous prices. I'm not going to lie. But some of this other stuff, dude, it's like going a week without smoking or drinking or something like that. If you can't go a week without buying your lottery tickets, you know what I'm saying? To get a year's worth of membership, you really need to check yourself. But the NRA is the one that everybody knows. And as much as everybody hates on the NRA, it's a lot of chatter on the internet. As much as everybody pumps up the GOA, it's a bunch of chatter on the internet. And I hear a whole bunch of people that love to parrot Yankee Marshall or somebody else like that instead of going, well, instead of going, maybe I should do some research on my own. And don't get me wrong, there's been some times where I've had some people tell me some stuff and I didn't make the time to research it. And then later I found out some stuff that they told me was inaccurate or it was old information or was just plain wrong. I do it myself, but I don't do it as much as some other people do. And people can hate on me all they want. I know there's people that are ticked off at me because I'm Mr. Compromise, but I'm Mr. Compromise for a reason. Not because I'm a coward, not because I want to give away our gun rights, but because I can win this battle through compromise, whereas you guys can just stand there and cross your arms and stamp your foot and say, "Shall not be infringed," and you're going to lose every time. I can win this long game. That's what I think the NRA can do too. But the NRA is not stupid. They're not working themselves out of the job. And GOA says we want to work ourselves. That is a load of crap. The GOA wants to be the next NRA. And there's nothing wrong with that. Let's let all the big national organizations have millions upon millions of members. Let's let all of them bombard us with junk mail. But let's, instead of having the NRA walk into Congress and they go, "Oh crap, here's the NRA," when they go run in the other direction, when they run into the GOA coming in the other door, they go, "Oh crap, it's a GOA." Because right now they're not going, "Oh crap, it's a GOA." So I don't think people should be giving up their NRA memberships, but it's a free country. If that's what you want to do what you want to do. If you want to cut up your NRA card on YouTube, if you want to say, "Let's burn it to the ground," say what you want to say. I'm not going to. I've been in this. I've been in it a lot longer than some of the people that are getting out there running their mouths, and I understand the long game. These other people, they're impatient. You got to be patient.
I heard that they're going to only have one magazine. They used to have, let's see, American Rifleman. What I get is America's First Freedom, and I think they had some other ones, and they're only going to just publish one now. I don't know which one. I don't know if anybody knows out there which one we're going to get from now on. But I bought like a 5-year membership a while back, so I'm like in there for no matter how bad they screw up over the next few years. It's I like Florida Carry. They're a good organization. It's one of the organizations I like, and I've never been to Florida, so but I think they're doing God's work. It's never too late to fight for freedom. Pick the one that you think makes sense to you. You know, it doesn't have to be the one that I like, or the one that Squibb likes, or the one that Yankee Marshall likes. One thing is, I'm sure if nobody in Congress is going to go, oh shit, here comes Yankee Marshall. I mean,
well, no, but I threw his name out there as an example because, okay, there's the mentality of the people that just go buy their membership and they go, I'm doing something. Well, yeah, you are doing something because you're counted as a member and you now have access to information. Okay, that's good. And then there's people that go, well, I watch this YouTube channel and whatever this guy says is gospel and I'm doing something. Okay, you're doing something. You're trying to stay even more informed. But some of these guys that get out there and run their mouths without checking their facts. And they've got 100 followers, 500 followers, 1,500 followers, 15,000 followers, 1.5 million followers, and they run their mouths. And you have all those people go, what they're saying must be true because they got all these subscriptions. Okay, we're all wrong at some point. Even I'm wrong at some point. So some people just knee-jerk react. They hear something, and then they don't take their time to research the facts. I like listening to the guys that take the time to research their facts, or the guys that have been doing this more than since Sandy Hook. And I'm sorry for all you people out there who only got into the fight after Sandy Hook because you were scared they're going to take your AR-15. I'm glad you're here. But step it back a notch. Quit acting with your damn feelings because you're acting like the people that you despise. The people that want to take away your freedom, you're acting just like them. Oh, sure, you're acting like them on our side, on the side that wants to pervert, but you're going off your feelings, and that's what they're doing. They're going off their feelings. They're not going off facts. Slow down, take it back a step, and quit relying on people like the Yankee Marshall to feed you all your information. You don't have to take if there's 4 or 5 things that come up in a month. If you just do your research on one thing, you're doing good. And sometimes we get busy. Don't get me wrong. We get busy. And sometimes I recommend this. If you're getting burned out, before you say, screw it, I'm just giving up on the whole thing, take a break and then come back to it. Just don't take the break too long. Don't get too comfortable. But there are lots of people out there who don't take they sure are opinionated on how to fight for our rights. There are people out there that say, we got to fight this way, and my way is the only way. Well, that's great. Why don't you back that statement up by taking some time to do some research of your own instead of listening to, YouTuber X, who is really in it for the money. He's not in it for your rights, and that's what irritates me.
Okay. That's the only thing that irritates you? All right. Let's see. I talked about my new boots. Is that are you driving home?
I am.
All right. I'll check the externals one more time, and the gun channel side.
I know people get ticked off at my opinion, but I get irritated at their lack of being able to think for themselves. That's all. My opinion is strong because I think for myself. And if you just want to follow the herd, you follow the herd. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't like it. That's all. You don't have to do things my way, please. I don't care about. I'm not one of these people that says, well, if you don't do it my way, you're wrong, or if you don't do it my way, you're not cool. I don't care. But when you do it a different way and I don't like it, I'm going to voice my opinion. What you do with that, I don't really care.
Yeah, basically, if I have a disagreement on some issue with Squibb, I'll really try and do is say, this is where I'm coming from, so he knows how I'm thinking, and this is why I'm thinking what I'm thinking. And he doesn't have to agree with me. It's okay.
And some people. So we disagree on all kinds of stuff, but we're still friends. But and that's the kind of person I can be. There are some people like, I'm sorry, you associate with this person, I can't be your friend, or you don't agree with me 100%, so you can't be my friend, or what? Okay, fine. Because I rub people the wrong way on all kinds of stuff. It's not just the NRA. I rub people the wrong way on on charity and abortion and just all kinds of stuff. I rub lazy people the wrong way, especially. But yeah, they really don't like me.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, some of is that a train? Like a train. You must be home.
I live in a rail yard. I muted it. He hit the whistle just as he passed me, so I muted it for that. Yeah, that would have blown your eardrums out.
Well, would have distorted the digital input probably. Anyway, I think we covered the NRA GOA.
I was kind of hoping that we would have a different arrangement here in the panel tonight, and we would have a lively discussion about the NRA a little bit more, but it's just not going to work out with just the two of us.
Yeah, Dusty was really texting in last night, and he was all fired up, but I mean, he probably fell asleep because it's late in Michigan. Or he's working on his he needs to stop working with his tractors and start working on some power for his farm in case the grid goes down of some kind. Because I don't think his 8,500 watt generator is going to cut it, based on what he told me so far.
He could put in a diesel generator.
Yeah, that's why I saw that one. I was like, man, that'd be a great one, but I don't know what they cost. I just went on Craigslist and typed in generator for Hawaii. I didn't look in Michigan. He can look for himself. It's a big boy.
If he wanted to get a military surplus generator in Michigan, I'd say go to General Jim's military surplus. They sell them.
Yeah, power is everything. That was my quote from Apollo 13 there the other night. It was on reruns. Let's see. I remember the other stuff that I was. I'm gonna have to go back and look at all of Dusty's texts because he sent me like 50.
Well, so it's kind of like this. I think he's not happy with the NRA like a lot of other people, and don't think that I'm just like, oh man, I'm in bed with him. But the more you guys hate him, the more I love him. It's the same thing with Donald Trump. The more people want to hate on him, the more I like him. I voted for him because I thought he was a lesser of two evils. Honestly, that's it. I voted for him because the alternative was worse. If there had been a better candidate, a third party or something, a better candidate, I would have voted that way unless I thought that candidate didn't have a chance in hell, and then I would have still voted for Trump. But the thing is, though, the more people want to hate on him, the more I like him. And I feel that way about the NRA. The more you want to hate on him, the more I like him. I'm just that kind of a person. But I think there's a lot of people who have hate or dislike or disapproval or whatever for organizations like the NRA or politicians like Donald Trump, only because they're doing the same thing that the very people they complain about are doing. They're just doing it in a different way so they don't see what they're doing. And people, okay, here's another thing about what people are doing that irritates me. You're a grown adult and you're acting like a child. Okay, now I'm done talking about when we're horsing around and playing and just acting. We get a bunch of guys together and we act like a bunch of 16-year-old boys and just idiots, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you're talking about serious things, when you're talking about laws, our government, politics, voting, stuff like that, and people are just throwing tantrums like little babies. Not rants, that's different. I'm talking about actually like little tantrums, and they think the world works a certain way, and it's like, have you not been a legal adult long enough to understand that the world does not work this way? The world is an ugly place. The world is a scary place. The world is a place that is not fair. I don't like this, but if you just think, you can close your eyes and tap your heels together and things are going to be, you're just going to make everything fair and right and good and everybody's, please. This is why we have guns, right? Because the world is not a safe place. The world is not a fair place.
Speaking of which, what do you think of Iran declaring the U.S. military a terrorist organization?
I think it's just their way for justifying any sort of action they do. But look at the history of Iran's actions against us. They send out patrol boats, you know, to trick us into shooting at them. And when they get close enough in international waters, we have every right to do it.
Guess who started building IEDs and giving them to the Iraqi Fedayid and stuff like that and killing them? That was Iran. I got to say, if I was in the military and Iran said I was a terrorist, I mean, I'd get a T-shirt that says Iran says I'm a terrorist. That's like,
well, here's the thing, though. I mean, when people talk about American revolutionaries during our war against England, the Revolutionary War, the war that helped found this country, I've heard patriotic Americans describe the Americans in that war as terrorists for the purpose of comparing them to the people who fought for our independence in the revolution. Were not terrorists. They were patriots. There's a big difference. There is a real big difference. And I am insulted. I'm insulted as a veteran that they would call, and I know they mean well, but when somebody calls themselves a patriotic American and they're describing the Americans who fought in the Revolutionary War and they're calling them terrorists, that angers me. It's just like when I watch somebody burn a flag, it angers me. And somebody may go, oh, I don't understand. I'm making a modern day analogy. You're making a terrible modern day analogy, pal.
What I would say about the Revolutionary War that I don't think most people get is that in a lot of ways it was a civil war between the loyalists and the people that didn't want to have anything to do with England.
But I don't think a lot of the loyalists fought. The loyalists might have spied. The loyalists might have helped out the British military.
Let me just get this out, and then I'll shut up. Once the war has started, and your mother, your brother, your father, your auntie, your uncle, your kid gets killed by the other side, what your motive? I mean, you don't need another motivation beyond that. Go ahead.
All right, I didn't get that, but okay, sure.
You didn't get it?
Okay,
so the redcoat friend. I mean,
okay. If you're talking about the redcoat shooting a colonist, yes. If you're talking about a colonist saying they want to support the redcoats because their son got killed, well, why would your son be a redcoat? The redcoats that were here were not colonists. They were sent over from England. There were some colonists that had served in the French and Indian War that were sympathetic to England, and there were, stuff like that. But in general, though, the American Army and Navy and Marine Corps that fought against the British were fighting troops brought over from Britain. I mean, some of them were stationed here, but they weren't colonists. These redcoats were not colonists. The colonists were not fighting other colonists directly.
They were loyalists. Yes, they were. They were loyalist militia. There was a loyalist militia
that was fighting side by side with the redcoats.
Yes.
I'm going to have to look into that because I think for myself.
Please do.
I'm not saying there weren't loyalists that weren't supporting the redcoats. They were on the side of the redcoats. They were giving them aid and comfort. They were giving them intelligence. That's probably the worst thing. Any loyalist who gave the redcoats the intelligence they needed in order to have an advantage on us, that's some of the worst stuff.
Well, war is a pretty nasty thing, so that kind of thing happens. Certainly nobody knew who was going to win the war. I mean, if you had to place money when the Revolutionary War started on who was going to win it, you'd have to bet on the most powerful military would win it, which was Britain, not the U.S. And I think George Washington used to fight for England, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, there were a lot of American military that, they were trained by the British or they fought in the French and Indian War. There's a big thing. We had all these veterans from the French and Indian War on our side, and that was a good thing. Plus, we brought in that French dude. I think it was he French or German that taught our military how to drill and stuff like that.
That was the Russian guy. That was Ceausescu.
Yeah, the gay guy, and whatever.
He was more Polish, actually. He was Polish, but anyway.
Right. Well, anyhow, and so I mean, we had people. Well, you're learning interesting things watching the History Channel, but Yeah, stuff like that. We had people that had military service, and then we just had other people that they were just farmers and they could shoot, and that was about it. But same thing happened during the Civil War, right? We had lots of veterans of the Mexican-American War, or the war, or during the War of 1812. There might have been some guys that used to be Indian fighters.
All the officers were trained at West Point on both sides. And that's one of those things where it's like they were brothers fighting on both sides.
During the Civil War? Yeah.
And so
I'm not going to tell you what side my family fought on.
I could guess, but it doesn't matter. I mean, every side, they were all Americans.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Okay, so after the Revolutionary War, America is now independent. We're not this world power, but we're independent. Well, all the loyalists had to be integrated into society. The ones that didn't jump on a ship and go back to England or run to Canada or something had to be integrated in society. It's like during this whole time, we bled and suffered and all this other stuff while you did nothing or you supported the redcoats. And now you're, my neighbor, I've got to get along with him now that we're both free Americans. Probably not an easy thing. The same thing with the Civil War. Civil War ends, and the South is pissed at the North. And the North is pissed at the South. And they've got to somehow get along with each other. The North wants to make the South pay for what they've done, and the South looks at the North as these invaders who took everything from them. And how long did that go on?
Still going on.
Before people learned that, all right, we got to just let this go and move on. It's really hard for some people to let go and move on. I get that, especially if you lost everything. If you lost everything, I mean,
the whole country almost lost what percentage of the population died in the Civil War? 25%, something like that. Some ridiculous number.
But in the North, they didn't go marching into the town and burn down every house, right?
Yeah, they did that in the South.
Right. Plus, they seized property without compensation in the South as well. And then they tried to hit them with back taxes, right? So, if you want to get these people integrated back into society and get along, you don't treat them like that. But back then, that was a way, right? It's the same thing with after World War I, right? So Germany had to pay all those reparations. You think that didn't piss them off? I'm not saying they shouldn't have had to do something.
You know how they did it? They printed money.
Yeah, but I love printed money. It's my favorite kind.
I'll print you some up.
I was just thinking about printing my own.
You should. I'm sure people will want a squibbish buck, a squib buck.
No, what if it was just called a squib, right? Like a $1 bill was called a one squib, right? I'll get,
when I think of squibbish buck, it's like you being dragged along by that buck that you shot.
Yeah, no kidding. He was strong enough. He probably could have. Actually, deer aren't really that strong, but apparently this one didn't want to die. That's all. What I wonder what a squib would trade for in Bitcoin. Like how many squib would equal one Bitcoin? One hash, right? Terahash.
You're gonna have to. Well, you could. It's not. You could do it. There's websites that create cryptocurrencies if you want. But it really won't be worth anything if you look on the. They're ranked by how much. Well, here I'll show you. In case you've never seen it, I'll show you. They're just ranked by their market cap, basically. And there's other ways, but like if you just create a bullshit currency with no technology behind it or no purpose to it or no use case, then it's going to be treated like a joke, and rightly so. And I guess what people would think of for that would be Dogecoin. Let me see if
Bitcoin or
Bitcoin. I love it when I see articles in the news when I just type my Bitcoin to check the price on my phone and just do a search on my Google phone, and you'll see one article one day that says Bitcoin will go to zero, and then the next day it'll says by the end of 2020, Bitcoin will be over $1 billion a coin.
1 billion.
I just love those articles because it's like one day it's zero and the next day it's a billion.
Well,
And
you know, but here's the thing, though. Let's say you get rich off Bitcoin, right? I just want to be able to say that I've got a rich friend. I don't want nothing from you. I just want to be able to say I know you. That's all.
Yeah,
And be like, hey, you guys doubted this guy, but I was behind him the whole time.
You weren't behind me the whole time. But I'll tell you this: I have rich friends, and I don't ask them for money because they're my friends. Because they're my friends.
Right. That's just it. Yeah. I don't mind knowing wealthy people, but I just the most I would want of them is maybe some advice. But as soon as they start talking all that banking crap, I just go la 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 la.
All right, so let me do a screen share real quick just to explain this. I'm sure anybody that's actually into Bitcoin knows this stuff, but since Squib isn't, I'll just give them like the real 10-second tour.
So, like, you need to explain Bitcoin stuff to me like I explain tractor stuff to you.
Yeah, you do, because I didn't understand anything Oklahoma said.
Dude, all of that sounded, it didn't even sound, I got to go back and watch it myself now.
Well, I wasn't in the Army of the South, so or the Army of Virginia, so I wouldn't know these things.
There would have been the Confederate Marine Corps, sir.
So the Confederates didn't have much of a navy. I mean, the Monitor, the Merrimack. Okay, we won't go there. We won't go into the Confederate submarine and all that shit. Let's just look at this really quick. So can you see this window coin market cap?
Yeah, I'm going to turn the phone sideways. Yeah, okay, I got it.
Yeah, okay, so it has, here's the name of the coin, and then next to it has the market cap. And this is just what it changed in the last 24 hours. But so the market cap of Bitcoin is $98 billion US at the moment. Ethereum, 18 billion. Ripple, 13 billion. Bitcoin Cash, 5 billion. EOS, this is one of those coins where that's 5 billion, but the thing about the coins is you have to believe in the team. You have to think at least that the guy in charge, the team in charge of promoting and maintaining that coin is not a crook. And I'm not so sure about EOS. Litecoin, $4.7 billion market capitalization. Binance, I don't trust that company at all. I don't trust any of the exchanges. Tether, I'd say that's a bullshit coin. It's supposed to be tied to the US dollar, but I can tell you what the problem with cryptos is. The same thing that's the problem with COMEX, but it's the exchanges that are crooked. Dash is number 13. Bitcoin SV number 14. Dash has a market cap of over $1 billion. That's what I'm getting paid out in every day from Genesis Mining. And so basically all these coins, basic attention coin, that has a smaller market cap, but it's only worth like what, 39 cents. But boy, if you look at the chart,
okay, but here's the thing. All of these things, they're showing their value in the US dollar.
The market cap, right.
Right. When they start showing the US dollar's value in Bitcoin, then maybe I'll believe in cryptocurrency. You see what I mean? Until they stop using the dollar as the benchmark.
Yeah, but right now the dollar, it's just easier to do things with the dollar. It's definitely easier, but there's a reason for that. They keep printing so much of it, and they're talking about more printing, quantitative easing 4. They've loaned out so much money to governments, corporations, and people that the whole world is broke. And the only way, and the derivative bubble is in the quadrillions of dollars. They've lent out more money than ever existed on the planet. It's owed, the debt bomb. And like, it's not just the U.S. national debt. And not to mention unfunded pension liabilities in every state. But quantitative easing is money printing. That's why, when you said after World War II, Germany had to pay reparations, how they did that by printing money, and everybody knows what happened to the Weimar Republic.
World War One.
World War One.
I don't know about what I don't know if they had to pay any after. I know they were still rebuilding that country in the 70s, but after World War One, they lost and they were humiliated and all this other stuff. And then on top of that, they had to pay reparations for a long time. I don't think the reparations by themselves led to World War II. World War II would have happened either way. I think World War II maybe happened more savagely, or I don't. It played a part. It played a part. It's not the only reason, but it's like look when you defeat your enemy, I don't have a problem with you taking some spoils of war, whether that be taking their weapons, taking some of their land, taking some of their intellectual property, whatever it is, not just as compensation for the cost or whatever, but also to the victors go the spoil. But unless you want these people to be bitter and come back after you later, you don't stick it to them but good. You just, I mean, there's like when we went into Iraq and liberated Iraq, we've been rebuilding their country and doing this and doing that. No, we should have taken a substantial part of land and said, this is now a sovereign U.S. territory, period. And if they'd said, sorry, you can't.
Bad place. That's a bad geographic location to have a sovereign piece of
U.S. It doesn't matter, though. I mean, we haven't, because it's considered imperialism, we haven't done it in so long where we've fought a war and said, now this is ours.
There's just things that you don't want to do because they don't make sense. How could it possibly benefit us to have part of Iraq? It would be a pain in the ass to actually.
Well, how did it benefit us to give up the canal zone? Thank you, Mr. Carter.
Well, Jimmy Carter, it defies explanation or logic. I mean, but how could you'd have to explain how it could benefit us to claim part of Iraq as our
unless the land is contaminated, owning any territory anywhere on the globe. The bigger we could make America, the better. It's more that we own. It's more that we can exploit its natural resources. It's more strategic location for us to have our military. We have less and less and less places across the planet where we have military bases because our leases have run out, governments have changed, our government has given up stuff, and it's for me, strategically, I think it's BS. I don't see why we couldn't have said, we're going to take a small piece of Iraq, and this is ours, and not ours on a 100-year lease. This is ours forever. If you don't like it, too bad. They should be glad that we got Saddam out. Instead, they're all mad that Saddam is out, and now they don't have power. Well, you don't have power because you guys keep destroying your own stuff. I mean, and people are going to argue, well, why did we even go back? Well, let's not get into that. The whole point being is that I don't have a problem with certain things that are considered imperialistic, and I know that's old school, but I'm an old school kind of guy. If we
don't need the oil in Iraq. We have Alaska. They opened up Anwar. That is so much better, easier, and simpler now that it's open than Iraq. Whatever. The only reason to take Iraq would
What if I want a condo in Iraq?
You want a condo in Iraq?
With a wave pool. Infinity pool.
You don't have enough Bitcoin to buy that. But you would need your own private militia to keep the riffraff out of mortar range. And probably the only private militias there you can hire are controlled by
Blackwater,
Iran.
Halliburton.
Iran. The local militia.
Have you seen the Iranian army? I wouldn't hire them to guard...
They don't. They have some elite units, and you don't need to be an elite unit to overrun some guy in a condo who foolishly moves into like Fallujah or something.
Do you think there's some elite Iraqi unit that could get into your condo? They wouldn't make it past the front door.
Well, I won't get into my front door, but. I don't think it would be a good idea to buy. We can look up condos in Fallujah and see what comes up. I need to do that just for fun.
Baghdad. Put me in the capital city.
Oh, you would need to be in the green zone.
Was okay. You know,
Baghdad. Wait, BAHG or GH?
I think it's GH or
GH.
yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Baghdad Bob, Baghdad restaurant.
Yeah, it's going to put you in Baghdad, Arizona, and there's no condos there. The mining company owns the town, so that won't work.
Baghdad Green Zone Condo.
Condo. Nice. Now,
Baghdad Green Zone condos is for sale. Okay, here you
get
go.
the fudge out of here. All right. Yeah, but how many square foot? I don't want like a little 600 square foot, you know.
There's the images. Let's go to.
Do they have a pool? Do they have an infinity pool? Yeah. You know, because as a member of the neighborhood association, I can afford the pool now. I'll be taking a picture of me at the pool. Dude, they got the pool.
Cancun, Mexico. That's Mexico.
Oh, no, I don't want to go. No, I'd rather go to Baghdad than Mexico City.
All right, let's go to the web because our images somehow. Iraq property for sale. Green zone.
And for those of you who are going, what are they doing? This is pretty much like an after chat. We're just live. This is what we do in the after chat.
We're totally off the rails now.
Yes.
Okay, but this is in the Baghdad currency.
Now, is this the lira or whatever it is?
There's been a whole thing about people buying and selling, trading in Iraqi currency, and like it's going to make them money somehow.
Yeah, years ago, I had somebody tell me, go on eBay, buy this stuff, hold on to it, and it's going to be worth a fortune. When oil does whatever it's supposed to do, and it's like, how do I know this isn't just printed on somebody's printer?
Well, I don't see any infinity pools, but I see like, you can tell what I'm seeing, but you can get something. House in Baghdad. Apartment flat in Baghdad.
How many square foot?
IQC. 9 bedrooms. All right. Let's see this one. 9 bedrooms. You get the whole flipping thing. You get the whole building, I think. $7 million US for that.
You know, that looks like the old embassy in Hanoi. It really does. It does.
Well, let's read the description. Are completely renovated.
Sorry, not Hanoi, Saigon. My head was in my ass. Yeah.
Are completely renovated and fully functional. Welcome to the after chat, by the way. This is a live after chat where we get completely stupid. Are completely renovated and fully functional hotel properties located in a prime location at the center of Baghdad, Iraq. It's just 2 blocks away from the Meridian and Sheraton hotels. I've been to the Meridian in San Diego, where you cross that highway that's like a bridge over the ocean, this long curving bridge. Anyway, currently the entire hotel is being leased by the Iraqi Minister of Agriculture. So the hotel is well cared for. It has been fully renovated. It was built in 1986. It's 6.5 floors high.
Okay, so 86, the prime of Saddam's rulership so it's going to have like the best gold and ivory
Otis elevators, 2 Otis elevators.
Okay, yeah, all right.
This has been reduced from 12 million to 10 million to 9 million and finally to 7 million US dollars.
Why are they selling the entire building? Why can't you just get a room or a unit? Why they got to sell the whole building? That makes me wonder what's wrong with the building. Other than it's in Iraq, I know that's kind of obvious, right?
Well, maybe if you want to start your own Blackwater type company, and you just get all your friends from gun channels to go over and run around Baghdad in a Humvee or an AMRAP and be hired guns for hire.
Well, all right. I'll give Patrick and Ponnery a call. I know they're in. So
I'm going to stay in Hawaii if you do this.
Okay. Where in Iraq do they have a beach for you?
Friendship only goes so far. I'm going to stay in the beach in Hawaii. If you
come on out to Iraq, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
Have a few drinks. You'll be wondering why there's glass everywhere. Where's the
glass? Glass? Who gives a shit about glass?
Wait, I've got it. I've got it.
Glass? Who gives a shit about glass? Who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Thanks, I needed that. When Rupan's not here, we got to have, Bruce. But otherwise, I'd rather hear the Rupan version.
Well,
he's also good for borrowing your Humvee.
Oh, right. Yeah, for the Sean Connery imitation.
So, and here's the thing, too. All right, so say you bought a building. You didn't buy a house or a condo or, one of Saddam's palaces or something. You bought a building in Iraq. Okay, you really would have to have an up-armored vehicle to go to the market or
7-Eleven.
Yeah. Okay, now here's the irony. I want to go open up a convenience store in Baghdad, and I want them to give me 7 years tax-free, like they do here when the guys from Baghdad come over here and open a convenience store in Detroit.
The irony of opening a 7-Eleven in Baghdad is that 7-Eleven was the covert, the code for the cryptic code for George Washington. That meant 7-Eleven was George Washington. For anybody that watched Turn. One thing that you were talking about that I liked about the ending of the last one of the last two shows of the Turn show on I don't know if it was on the History Channel or AM. It was on AMC.
Was AMC or A&E?
AMC.
Okay.
And was when George Washington went to the Philadelphia, and the guy who ran the paper in Philadelphia was owned a bar, and he ran he printed up a loyalist newspaper, which used to be a pro colonist independence newspaper before he bought it, and then he bought the bar and the paper, and he turned it into a loyalist paper, and he printed all kinds of crap about George Washington. And then now that the war is won, George Washington walks into the bar, and he sees the publisher, and he says, "Here, you printed all this stuff about my wife, and I'm really offended." And the place is surrounded by George Washington's army, basically. I mean, literally, his soldiers are outside this pub, and he says, and so the guy is scared because he published all this shit about Martha Washington or whatever, and what a terrible general George Washington was, and all this crap about him, because he lived in Philadelphia, which was garrisoned by the British for the whole war, pretty much. And so George Washington says, "These troops aren't here to do you any harm. They're here to protect you from everybody else. We need newspapers that have their own, that think for themselves and have their own independent thoughts. So the troops are going to stay here just to protect you from everybody who didn't like what you printed." And he left. And the
now
guy
that's
was
classy. That takes some class.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of things to like about America and the Revolution, unless you were loyal to King George. But I would not buy this building if I was you, Squib. That's just my 2 cents on it. Can I interest you in a condo in Hawaii? I've got one of those for sale.
See, I just don't want to live there.
You like the LED pool the picture of the LED at night that I sent you.
Oh yeah, but yeah. But I mean, you can get that pool anywhere. So it's a pool. It's not like it's illegal to have a pool in all 49 or 49 of the 50 states. But the one state you can have a pool is Hawaii, which is ironic because you're surrounded by the ocean. But it's also ironic when there's a pool on a cruise ship, because
So really ironic is that we have an assault beach.
It's salt, not assault.
It's Assault Beach. Assault Beach. All right.
There's a space in there somewhere. I know it.
Yeah, this after chat is really spacey. I'll just check the externals before we make it a real after chat.
They're gonna have us committed for just
Yes, it should be against YouTube policy for anybody to do an after chat live on air.
Yeah. Well, this is what happens when Dusty's not here to regulate things, and hopefully he's okay though. You know, if he got tired because he worked his butt off all day, because farmers do work, contrary to what some people believe.
Yes.
They do, and I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about somebody else, and
I'm
I'm
not
not
a
going to
farmer,
say
dude.
their name. No, but yeah, he's been accused of not working, and he does. So if he's tired, you know, hopefully that's all it is. I just don't want there to be, you know, some sort of medical emergency. I haven't got a text message, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, he probably just fell asleep, or his wife isn't letting him go near the computer on Monday anymore.
We're bad influences. No,
Yeah.
she's met me, and she's a very very nice person. He's a lucky man, but so you know, I try to represent for everybody else on gun channels. You know, just so she knows that we're not all like totally, you know, like some sort of crazy fanatics or anything else like that. So hopefully I did a good job. I don't know. Maybe I've ruined it for everybody.
Only time will tell.
Only time will tell.
So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for the thumbs up. You guys are great listening to my show, especially if you stuck it out for this long. You should get some kind of
Yeah, I know. And I mean,
patch.
when it's just me here, I go from panelist to co-host, so I really bring the place down. If anything, you're going to lose subscribers because of this.
Won't be the first time.
Yeah, it won't be the first time I've cost you some subscribers.
Doesn't matter. All right, man. Everybody, keep fighting for freedom, whichever executive and organization you pick is okay with
whatever
me.
way you feel best, do it. At least you're doing something. That's more than I can say about some people.
And God bless America. See you next week.